welcome back to the streaming action from the WMUCC. We are back with a Women's Masters semi-final. We have Soar from the US taking on StellO from Canada. Both of these teams have been featured on the stream before. We've seen some stellar performances out of both of them. Behind the mic today is Rachel Toshnerova, joined by the lovely and only Benjamin Rees. Hi, Benji.
I can't believe this is the first time we've worked together this week.
So sad.
They've been deliberately keeping us apart because it would be unfair for the other commentary teams. I'm really excited about this. I think we've got a cracker of a game on our hands here.
It hasn't been so great so far today with the other games.
Not quite, but I think that just means that when this game turns out to be the barnstormer it promises, then it's going to be all the more hype. StellO starting by pulling to Soar.
We saw a little hesitation by Green, making sure that the time has indeed begun. And it will be Metzler, the steady handler, offensive handler for Soar. And the Canadians come out in a very tight match, as we have seen from them all week long, and they get a turn immediately off the first pass.
Just a little bit under throw and slapped dismissively to the turf.
Komenda with a high release lefty into the front of the end zone. Green taps it back in. No need for that under the WFDF rules. They center the disc.
Always happy to see other commentators pick up on that.
Brown now with a around backhand for Green into the end zone. And StellO coming streaking. First break of the game.
What a beautiful start to this game from the Canadians, getting the turnover in short order and then just, calmly playing it around a little bit before that wonderful around backhand.
We'll see that on the replay one more time. Green completely free in that break side. We will see Brown and Green working together on this brown and green pitch, which is pitch number 3. Most of the action today will be brought from this field as well as from field number 11, I believe.
Yeah, field number 11, we've got the finals taking place starting now, but obviously bringing you 2 pitches means that we can do fun stuff like this. And a great start here for StellO.
Green with another pull. This time it seems like it will land inbounds.
Yeah, the rain has been hammering it down today, although it's eased off slightly now. But it's not as windy as it has been as a potential layout block there. It's going to get the foul called.
And that would be a crazy turn of events, knowing that StellO can defend the first pass for the second time already. That was Broom with the throw.
Yeah, it's never a good sign if you start out on offense and your opponent scored 2 points before you've completed a pass. So a little replay of the situation by the players. We're expecting Metzler to do a lot of the key handling work for this Soar side. They are the leading assister in the women's division, joint with Rosemary O'Mahony of Masterclass, but having played a game fewer, so throwing on average 3.56 assists a game, top in the division.
Metzler now has the disc in the middle. Incredible tight D by the Canadians. They go through the break side.
And a pick downfield. So defenders unable to keep up with the players they are marking because somebody else gets in the way, be that an offensive or a defensive player.
Brewer fakes the high release, doesn't take it. Eventually finds Metzler. She puts up a forehand flick. Great collection by Obi.
That's throwing your receiver open right there.
And another pick will stop the play one more time.
Yeah, you see the hand signal there. Arms out at your side at right angles, bent again. At the elbows perpendicular.
Stolkow coming in on 6. Broom on the sideline. Looks for the reset. Metzler ignoring her at the beginning, but then she gets the disc eventually. Tries to step around for the backhand, nothing there. And that is a floaty forehand, and despite Obi being a solid, steady receiver for Soar, this disc will go into ground.
Yeah, Metzler has a real nose for the end zone, and Obi's one of the favourite targets there. Found that space late on, but in these slippery conditions, that blade over the top is tough to execute.
Green working hard in the handler's place, but it will be Komenda who gets open. The disc taken by the wind, though, sails behind the entire stack of players. Second chance for Soar.
Yeah, not necessarily a huge amount developing, and Jesse Brown choosing to take the field position.
They move the disc up the sideline, and here's another defense. Second chance. Good effort by Obi getting down to the ground. But here's Komenda with the disc now. She's had some deadly lefty puts.
Jesse Brown, you can't be slapping the disc away like that because Obi very nearly made you pay for it. Just catch your D and that never happens. Sorry, it's one of the things that I really get a bee in my bonnet about.
We know, but it's okay. We all have our little pet peeves on the pitch and off it. Komenda puts the disc into play. Beautiful around put to Green. Green puts up a backhand inside. It's hanging. The defender is underneath. And an excellent read by number 23. Looking for the continuation in the end zone.
Yeah, that was a contested shot when it went up. I thought the defender had better position.
Jacques goes backwards. Brown now looking for the up line to Dunbar. Dunbar gets it in the back. More than happy to swing it backwards. Slightly behind throw to Dunbar. Again, no continuation. Fakes the scooper, doesn't take it.
The synergy between the handlers and the cutters isn't there right now, and then just gets that throw off target.
A little bit of an overthrow to Komenda. We saw Green signaling to Dunbar that she should take the reset options and get the disc moving. The Canadians have been relying on their quick movement of the disc all week long.
You can see there that Dunbar was looking for that throw and go to try and attack the space offline, upline after getting that throw off to Komenda, but unfortunately didn't get the accuracy and the placement right.
Broome again a little bit stuck on options. Metzler now just at the front of their own end zone. There's a big pass to Morris, and that's a Callahan foul call.
Uncontested as well. Temporarily got extremely excited there because it was begging to be picked off, but the foul on the throw does help to explain why.
So Brown will have to wait for her chance for a Callahan for the later minutes of this match. Metzler.
Wouldn't surprise me if she looks deep here just to get it away from that end zone.
And she does, and who else is there for the collection but Obi? Unfortunately, again, the disc sails out of bounds for another turnover for Soar.
Yeah, struggling to get free against that tight defense from StellO. And that's why you're seeing a lot of high stall puts.
Komenda looking for her reset. Gets it off to Brown, but a pick call will stop the play again. So we will see Komenda and we will see Dunbar crossing over from offense to defense as needed.
Yeah, Komenda as well has got a bevy of experience on both sides of the Atlantic.
Here's the pass to Brown. Brown resets in the middle, back to Komenda. Great collection. Green now just shy of the end zone. Quick pass to Dunbar. Second break of the game for StellO.
That's much better from the D-line offense. Previously, there was no timing between the cuts coming downfield and the handlers collecting passes. Ideally, what you want to do is, as a handler, you want to catch, and by the time you're looking downfield, there's a tiny bit of separation. It doesn't have to be massive necessarily, but especially if you're attacking that break side, you don't want to make that cut too early because then that space is already filled. You want to delay it maybe a little bit too much on occasion, just so that you can put the throw to space and let the break side attack it. And you see there from Green to Dunbar.
It was a good defensive effort by Brewer, nonetheless. But 2 breaks in, we're going to take a timeout here and take a little breather in the commentary booth. Welcome back after the first timeout of this Women's Masters semi-final between Soar out of the US and StellO Canada.
Going to be some happy Canadian fans in chat because StellO 2 breaks to start this game. Hello to everyone watching live and for free on the World Flying Disc Federation YouTube channel, where you can watch all the games back on demand at your leisure as well. And a big reason they've got those 2 early breaks, Jessie Brown, 3 blocks already, and we're only 2 points in.
Here we see the Soar offense with a nice deep put all the way into the end zone. Lots of players underneath. Second effort, this will be called in. It almost seemed like a down, but I don't think anyone was actually keeping their eyes on the disc except for the receiver.
Not a chance. It's definitely up. The goal's good, but it was an absolute kind of swarm underneath that. And you've got to credit the focus from Ackles staying with the play when, for all the world, especially with that pile of bodies there, could have just left it for dead. Also, this is a hell of a rip from a standing start on the flick. And you see, get so close to it, almost take each other out, and Ackles at the back sweeps up the trash for the score. Again, can't say enough about that put from Wooldridge. What a monster.
Yeah, Wooldridge has been serving up some great throws throughout the week. Oh yeah, definitely up. My bad. Despite my LASIK laser surgery, I don't see that far and that well.
Second leading stat getter on the team is Wooldridge. 6 goals, and that is now her 21st assist of the tournament.
Absolutely impressive record. But a good chance to have a look at the StellO O-line.
And if you're a neutral, I think this is what you needed. It's always frustrating in these semi-finals when a team gets too far up because it feels like the pressure then really ticks on their opponents, and often you get those rather lopsided scores.
Boulanger puts up a ripper backhand into the end zone. The defense is underneath, but I think it will be Sparks who reads it better. She's just shy of the end zone. A violation called, it seems like. I believe she was not happy with the contact on the mark.
Yeah, with those marking infractions, they require you to drop the stall count, and then if that's not communicated and the stall count's not dropped properly, you can call the violation just to clarify what's going on. And you see the game advisor in the green jersey at the back, not a referee. They cannot make binding judgments, but they can help to provide rules, clarifications, and provide perspectives if asked, as well as helping remind players of various time limits.
So Sparks will check quickly on what the actual rule is, making sure it is the same under the WFDF set of rules, as these players are more used to the USAU version that they go by.
Yeah, even the Canadians use the USAU. It's kind of the North American rule set rather than strictly USA.
Good to see the smiles on the sideline. It seems like the Canadians are very much ready to play this game. Another stoppage. Yeah,
maybe players moving too early. By the way, hell of a grab from Sparks on that huck reception, because she saw that the IO shape was going to take it towards that sideline, and she pinpointed it beautifully.
And there is a quick pass to Dunbar. Nope,
I think it's Vachon in the end with the score.
Vachon with the score, that is right. I feel, Benji, like that O-line had just no fear. I don't think I think it was very easy for them to actually take that shot, because they had their D-line take 2 breaks at the start, and that just puts you in a much more comfortable position to actually play the game you want to play.
It gives you a little bit of license to shoot it a little bit as well if that shot's there. Coming out in that zone, but not getting enough pressure close enough so they can really step into and rip that huck deep, and it was a hell of a put from Boulanger. And then, as we mentioned, Sparks brought it down well, pops it to Vachon for the goal. That's, as you mentioned, the comfort that you get from getting a couple of early breaks means that your O-line can go out there and play without fear.
Just to give you a little setting into the conditions here in Limerick, we've had 3 terrible days. You might have seen the stream of the opening game featuring StellO against the local team Masterclass. And the weather has been absolutely terrible at the start of the weekend. Then it sort of improved throughout the week, and we've had some sunny days from Sunny Sunny Limerick. But what's the weather like now, Benji?
Well, we had really torrential rain earlier, and then it's eased up a little bit slightly. It's coming down more heavily now. It's overcast, probably kind of mid-teens Celsius temperature-wise. I don't know what that is in old money, but It's been very windy here this week. That's kind of standard for Limerick, regardless of what the other weather's doing. But it's actually remarkably calm today as a run through D from Rachel Ing.
Interception by Ing. Gets the chance for another break. Gomenda now with the around flick. Goes to Jacques. Jacques will take the reset to Brown. Brown will look for Green. Green down the sideline into the end zone for the score. Another break for StellO, going up 4-1 over Soar. Not the beginning of a semi-final the Americans envisioned.
And that is textbook dump and swing there. Getting the disc towards the break side. We mentioned getting the timing of those cuts right downfield, getting them late enough so that space isn't already congested, and then was really zinged right down that sideline. Have a look at it now on the replay. Brown thinks about the inside, but when it's not there early, switches to the around. Green puts this flat out into space. Nice, comfortable catch for the break.
Once more is bid for that inside. She just stepped right around her, and the breaks followed. And that actually has been the story of the quarterfinal as well, where Soar went up 15 little over Molly Gray, 15-8, 15-8. And I believe one of the big things in that game also was setting the mark properly and really trying to take away as many break options as possible.
Yeah, a 15-8 win for StellO over a really solid understates it, a really good Molly Gray team. Is hella impressive. For Soar, it was a 15-10 win over the aforementioned masterclass of Ireland in their quarterfinal.
Here is the gainer to Big B. Big B with a high release, but it will turn into a leading pass for Wooldridge.
Yeah, the reason that works despite floating is because the throw gets out there early enough.
Metzler now goes backwards. And here is a low grab in the end zone, wobbles out of her hands.
We've seen already that Wooldridge can be a playmaker, and that time very nearly was able to wrap her mitts around it, but in these difficult, slick conditions, just can't get it to stick in there.
Some of the players maybe opted for no gloves as there was very little rain at the start of the game. But now that it's falling down more heavily, it might make its mark on the players' game. Here's a wide swing for the Canadians. They go to Dunbar, but the disc is a little behind, causing Dunbar to drop it. Metzler picks up, hoping for a quick response. Nothing there in the break side. High backhand, two defenders underneath. Nice read. But a pick call.
Yeah, and the pick was a fair few seconds ago.
Seems like Big B will keep the disc nonetheless, as the other players say that it did not affect the play. Big B with a forehand into the end zone, floats away from the receiver. That is unfortunate.
You can see what she's looking for there, that flat, high release right down that sideline, but it's a really toughical throw. Toughical? It's a really difficult throw to execute, and that time just got too much blade on it, and it tailed out the side of the pitch.
Green to Brown. On the other side to Kubanek. Now Ing has it. Back to Kubanek. See almost a flat mark from the Americans. Green with a high grab. Back to Brown. And that's a wonderful put for Dunbar. I would be surprised if she didn't come down with it. She does. And that's another break for StellO. That is such a confident, steady performance.
Ackles closed on that so quickly. But before that throw went up, you can see a couple of players begin to take off deep. And if I was StellO, I would have done exactly the same thing and chanced my arm.
I almost expected Green to chuck it deep from that position.
But instead takes the underneath pass first and then steps into this flick, does Brown, hangs it up there. Dunbar tracks it well over her head, which is not that easy, I can tell you, especially because he's looking over her left shoulder while the disc slightly coming over her right, but pinpoints it well, closes the hand just before Ackles can get there. And StellO now lead 5-1.
just like in the quarterfinal, StellO exuding, is that the word?
Yeah.
Exuding incredible energy and confidence, and that is something that can be so threatening and sort of discouraging almost when you're playing against them.
Bang on there, Rachel. For StellO, this game, they're trying to make it not feel like a semi-final almost. They're going out there, they're playing their game, and it feels like this could have been the first day of the tournament. Not because they're rusty, but because they've been very calm and level-headed.
And that is the overall vibe that I was getting from the team when I was checking in with them before the game. Just seemed very confident, smoothly marching their way into the final. Here's Soar with a disc to Hill. Hill finds Wooldridge. Wooldridge with a high disc up line, but nicely collected the players down, but she gets up anyway. Lee.
Everyone stopped, not sure why. Throw went deep looking for Hill.
Seems like a little bit of a confusion between among the players to see what the call was.
It seems like there was a stoppage for some reason on that catch by Lee. Maybe once some players on the field called it down. Regardless, the majority of the players stopped, and thus it becomes a stoppage regardless. Here we go on the replay. Looking for this up line throw here to Lee. Wants to take it high, can only tip it around. Game advisor's coming in now to try and lend a hand if needed.
What we have seen in the quarterfinals several times was that StellO let a few calls actually completely slide, even though that it was clear that it should have been a turnover.
That's definitely good from my opinion.
Well, I think that is just their big confidence that they're able to get the disc that force the turnovers again and again.
I think they're asking actually for a replacement disc here. Sorry, Rachel, to cut across it.
Hitting our cameraman in the process.
Boo, leave Rob alone.
So Lee taps the disc back into play. Oh, and a turnover caused by defense on the mark.
Yeah, because the throw came out all wrong, and I wasn't quite sure what Lee's intention was. Such was the stifling handle defense.
Commenda to Vachon. Vachon activating Brown on the reset, but it seems like a little confusion. Probably a contact that didn't stop the play on the mark.
That or a fast count that where the stool wasn't dropped. I think with that reset, she doesn't like she thinks the coverage on Brown's too tight to put that throw up, but the defender doesn't really have any look at the disc, so I'd be tempted just to put that to space and yeah, let Brown go and chase it.
Must be a fast count though, because I did not see any contact from the mark there on the replay. Again, game advisors called in by the players. Of course, with the final decision being completely up to them. They just seek a little clarification on the interpretation on the rules. It seems like the disc will come back in at 1 or not. In any case,
6.
6. A basic vert stack from StellO. Great inside break. They continue through the break side. Jacques now on the near sideline. Goes for the break throw again, which goes over the head of the receiver. And no luck on the second attempt either. Pick call stops the play immediately.
That's what I was calling for off the resumption of play, with the defender not getting eyes at the disc, just put it out to space. That is a lovely inside throw as well, because the handler's catching and already looking downfield at a next option.
Hogg picks up quickly. Not too many options now. I believe that's Navarro with another stoppage. Navarro with a high release backhand that will be pushed to the ground. No one there to collect it. Vachon into the hands of her opponent. Navarro now trying for the quick give and go. low backhand, and that was a little too far for Achel. Gomenda, last third of the field. She has time to dry off the disc.
It's really not clicking at the moment for Soar, is it?
Here is Brown. One break pass away from the score. She gets it. Great layout grab by Marie-Christine Jacques. Second goal of the game.
I think Brown maybe made this throw a little bit more difficult than she would have liked. You know, you've got to set high standards, even though, of course, it's complete for a score. Ideally, you don't want to have to force your teammate to lay out if they don't need to. But again, leaving those breakside timing cuts a bit later so they've got the space to attack. And, yeah, Navarro just looked beating all ends up on the mark almost. Jessie Brown has 1 turnover on the game, but also has 3 blocks and 3 assists. So pretty good first half from her, I'd say. And another timeout called here by Soar. So
as the teams huddle up, we will leave you with a little word from our sponsors.
Right now, he's gonna have to bid. Just a
football!
Huge layout block, unbelievable stuff on the front corner of the end zone.
Maybe just that boost of energy they needed.
Huge swing pass and a great grab there from Spear.
Welcome back after the timeout to this Women's Masters semifinal. Soar from mostly Texas taking on StellO from Canada. StellO just bringing so much energy and so much effort and so much confidence to the start of the game. They go up 6-1 over the Americans.
Yeah, you're seeing some kind of just strange, you know, focus drops, turnovers, throws not coming out quickly. You saw there in the advert one of our sponsors, Friction Gloves, who bring grip for your game. And yeah, perhaps in slippery, cold, wet conditions like this, might well come in handy.
Here is Soar with another attempt on the O. Metzler looks to the break side, eventually gets it off. Bigby now, back to Metzler. Seems like the Americans will try to run the Canadians down with bigger fakes, trying to create a bit more separation to make the throwers more comfortable with their throws. Here is Broom.
It feels like every pass is a grind here, getting consistently high in stall counts.
McClure returns the disc to Metzler. Metzler finds Bigby. Goes for the give and go down the far sideline, and a pick call will stop the play.
Worked it to half field, so it's obviously not there yet. But even if it's a grind, they are moving the disc consistently.
And they are going a little bit into the wind, so this would be a good offensive hold for Soar. And they will need it if they want to stay in this first half. Metzler fakes the high release forehand, doesn't take it.
Yeah, I think I maybe like a bit more snap in that fake to get the mark biting.
Brewer with an errant throw into the end zone. That is unfortunate. She had a receiver with a little bit of separation, but the throw just didn't come off the way she intended, and the defense gets in the way.
Yeah, nice adjustment there, trying to reach behind to get that block.
Brown looking for Green upline. She finds her, and Green's gonna rip it. She does. She has a wide open receiver. Jacques doesn't come down with it. Great last-minute save by Soar.
Big B turned on the afterburners there to close that gap as the throw hung up a little bit and took that aggressive line to the disc and was rewarded with the interception.
Brewer wobbled the disc a little bit there, but the possession is safe for now. Metzler stuck on the far sideline. Thinking about her options, finds Eccles. And goes back to Metzler. Broom now striking up line, nothing there. And a foul call as Brewer was trying to go slightly over Dunbar for the upline cut. Seems like it will be uncontested, which will adjust the stall count respectively.
I see you're being heckled in the chat by what your definition of a wide open deep receiver is.
That's when you check for the number and the name once the receiver gets going, and they start off wide open, and then somebody just gets back, right back at them.
Always receiver error. Slightly extended discussion on the stoppage, but it's all resolved.
Metzler. A stop on the break side backhand. Puts up another of those shaky forehand throws. It is very difficult to place that throw and add enough spin on it so that it surpasses the wind.
Yeah, you can see that they're always blading, but that is a brilliant bid to get it back.
Huge bid by the Soar defense.
I think it's Cherwink who made the play.
And I don't think that will be her first defensive layout at this tournament. Metzler now will go for another one of those forehands. This time, she almost makes it to the hands of Broom, but Green stretches out her tall body, waves her braid around, and gets the D.
Utilizing every inch of the wingspan there to tip that away acrobatically for what looked like a certain Soar goal.
Brown walks it to the cone, slightly more towards the middle, a violation or a treble more specifically. And disc gets tapped in. Green immediately strikes up line, but there's Dunbar with a little miscommunication. I think Dunbar was opting for the quick upline again. Metzler walks around a little bit to give her teammates time to set up for the set end zone play. She'll look for the break side, not much there, but here it is. Bookends for Cherwing. She got the D there earlier, and now she's there with a second score for Soar.
First assist of the game for Metzler, finally stopping that run.
Cherwing is only 29 years of age, so barely making it into Masters category, out of Tulsa as a chemical engineer in the other part of her life. She has a fun story about her sporting hero. She was invited to WMUCC USA tryouts, and this girl I met was absolutely amazing. Outplayed everyone with a broken rib without losing her smile, and treated her, a clueless outsider, like a friend. Turns out it was Kyla Helton, a big deal.
Nice. Love seeing stories about the ultimate community helping each other out. Although Cherwink's based in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the majority of this Soar squad, as you mentioned, based in Texas, are coming out of the Dallas-Fort Worth metropolitan area, playing on the main club teams there, like Maeve in the women's division and Public Enemy in mixed.
So hopefully we'll get to see some more action out of Cherwing. She's ruptured both Achilles tendons in 2010 and 2011. Great to see her back on the field and in this Women's Masters semis, where Soar are hopefully not yet ready to give up as they put up a big pull out of Wooldridge. Boulanger to receive on the other end. She will work with Ryu in the handling space. Americans come out in a zone. And it bears its fruits. Great defense. Now they quickly move the other way.
Maybe,
Coombs in front of the end zone.
Maybe they just got too greedy and aggressive trying to thread that through the cup.
Navarro trying to get open for the reset. Coombs will take the big backhand around, but that's too low for her teammate to get there.
Yeah, the stall count was rising. Had to get it off despite a tough mark and couldn't keep it off the grass.
Boulanger, big fakes. Goes backwards and a slip. A foul call will be called on the mark.
We've had a couple of those sort of errors on reset passes. If StellO kind of want to take some pointers on how to improve in this game in the second half with a big advantage, I think getting those handler cuts cleaned up is something they could work on.
That was a good mark on Boulanger. She's a tough one to mark. With you take away one thing, she will just take another immediately. Here is Ryu stuck on the far sideline. Finds Boulanger with a low grab and a nice save. She's got people open, but here's Hundley with the defense, seeing not the tunnel vision, but the eyes. Boulanger.
Had Sparks open deep on this far side of the field, but a really tough throw to try and jack that over the top.
And here is Zhao with the defense for StellO. A third chance to redeem themselves. Vachon finds Boulanger.
Yeah, unable to get that the zone defense set up after that quick pickup, which I think is what StellO were aiming for. Going to match, but it does work.
Going to ground is Madeline Hill, ensuring that there is no second attempt on that throw, and another turnover forced by the Soar D-line. Boulanger applying lots of pressure. Coombs hoping for the end zone, and that will be just out of reach again. That's unfortunate to lose that disc on that dump.
The clinical StellO that put 3 points in on the spin without turning over has disappeared.
Ryu goes to Polowick. Polowick looking for the reset. Takes it to Vachon. Vachon with a big put. Back to Polowick, up the line. Pick will stop the play.
Yes, squeeze that throw in there, using that roll curve edge to make sure that it works its way back in bounds. Hill with that big knee brace on her right knee will check it back in on the mark.
Slightly better execution on the difficult forehand throws on the far sideline. Polowick now just on the front code. She'll go around to Vachon. Now Boulanger back to Vachon. Boulanger with the turnaround. Reset. Great grab from Vachon right in front of the end zone. She gets high. And still now with a Hail Mary into the end zone. But here you can really feel the chemistry of the StellO players. That is Zhao with the score. Excellent stuff.
That's definitely a case of stall count rising and just putting it into space and trusting that your receivers on the same page as you are. Would probably like to see Ryu be a bit more aggressive with some of these fakes. She stood very upright, so not necessarily committing the mark either way, and never turns to isolate the reset, but still again has that trust in that chemistry to put that to space. Zhao makes the catch, and StellO 1 point away from half.
So as we say hi to you, appearing in front of the camera for once.
Yeah, we look a little bit sodden and bedraggled, but certainly drier than the players are under this tent.
Thank you for watching, and props to Soar defensive line in the last point. They did an amazing job forcing about 3 or 4 even turnovers in that last point, but unfortunately unable to get the break. They so much need to stay in this half. They also lost it just in front of their end zone.
Yeah, also want to say props to our Ulti TV camera crew for standing out there in the pouring rain. What troopers.
And here is the sideline getting back for both teams. Metzler goes to Broom. Broom with a high disc to Ackles. A travel called. She's looking for Morris, finds her. Sideways to Metzler. Metzler goes again for that big forehand hook. Oh, and an incredible read from Obi. Obi just shy of the end zone. She goes backwards to Metzler. Metzler now faking aggressively. But Dunbar is tight on the mark. They go sideways to Broom. Broom steps around, nothing there. Metzler. And a pick call stops the play.
It's not a surprise. One of the problems that Soar are having trouble punching it in the red zone is because you have multiple players making the same cut at the same time, and they're colouring each other up and bringing two defenders into that space.
Yeah, Soar getting a little too eager, cutting out of that stack. Here's Metzler with a nice up line, changing the angle of attack. She wants Broom for the up line. Broom gets it level. Another player down. It's Dunbar and Metzler.
Just want to go back to that deep throw from Metzler. We've seen them blade, and that time Obi knew that it was probably going to tail towards this side. Akhtal got caught too far underneath it, but Obi trusted her read and brought it down with aplomb.
They're not perfect, but then again, if you see the Canadian defense always getting into the ways of the undercuts, you might need to just take them, and especially with receivers like Obi downfield.
It doesn't always need to be perfect, it just needs to get the job done.
That's right. Disc will get put back into play. It's with Broom right now on the far sideline. The rain getting heavier and heavier as there is another involvement of the game advisors in greet shirts, kindly provided by BC Ultimate, who are the providers of the merchandise for this tournament, outfitting the world's best ultimate players since 1998, but also the world's best volunteers here in Limerick.
Right, 120 volunteers from 20 different countries working hard to make this tournament a success this week.
Broom goes to Morris. Morris into the end zone for Obi, and Obi adds another one to her impressive stats. Second, was that right, in her division so far. Wonderful job. That's a hold for Soar, staying in this half, 3-7 in favor of StellO Canada.
So that goal is her 23rd of the weekend and brings her level with Laura McMorrow of Masterclass with 23 at the top of the goals leaderboard. A nice clean hold there for Soar. Since their first point of the game to make it trailing 2-1. And the first clean point we've seen actually from either side for a few points as well.
Chinwe Obi never ceases to amaze me. She's 31 years of age, has only been playing for 5.5 years, currently lives in Dallas, is a senior user experience researcher.
A what?
Yep, that. And
okay,
has played for Tex-Mix as well as Public Enemy. And when I see her in the end zone, she doesn't seem to be making any explosive plays or big cuts. She just doesn't seem as aggressive as some of the other players that you see with such impressive goal record. But somehow she is always standing in the right spot and just always gets the disc.
It's partly being on the same page as the handlers, knowing what sort of looks they're going for, and also sometimes, a lot of the time, if everyone's going all over the place, you just kind of need to hold your position, sit in those little pockets, and sometimes a quick little jab step or a shoulder shake one way or the other is enough to lose a defender. It doesn't always have to be a big churning cut.
So shout out to her friends and family watching from home, also her boyfriend Kale. And back to the action of the field, Boulanger working with the other handlers. Now to Zhao against this Dallas zone. Texas zone, should I say.
Yeah, Dallas-Fort Worth zone, but that's a bit of a mouthful.
Sparks now on the near sideline. The Canadians choose to swing it wide. I believe this is more of a zone look that we've seen other times from Soar, because their defense is usually this poachy look that has been causing trouble to some of the other teams that they managed to surpass.
Looks like an arrowhead up front, someone at the point, two kind of little wings tipped behind them, three across the middle, and then one player patrolling deep, in this case Wooldridge.
Zhao with a wobble. Boulanger back to Sparks. They're now nearing the last third of the field.
Yeah, the calls come to transition into going one-on-one on defense.
A high disc well collected by Vachon. Vachon into the end zone. And her receiver completely open on that last pass.
Yeah, got that throw out nice and early. And was able to just about sneak it underneath the mark as well. Cheeky release. I like that they came down with a zone seat because they've had some trouble at points in this half, StellO. Trying to work that out, but this time, rather than be a bit more aggressive, they stayed patient, worked the swings, worked the spaces, and you see here, Vachon just about gets that throw out into space before the mark can set, and that takes you into half-time. 8-3. This has been some performance on Canada here. I'll start that again. On Canada Day here from the Canadians. Got there in the end.
There you go. So it is Lauren Polowick who will take the last score of this half. And as we have a few minutes break, we do encourage you to get some refreshments, to have a little break yourselves, to be ready for the second half, and we will see you on the other side. Welcome back to the second half of Women's Masters semifinal. We have Soar from the US taking on StellO from Canada. StellO took out the first half 8-3 in a fascinating fashion. No hesitation there. And now with the heavy rain, we are going into the second half with StellO starting on offense.
Yeah, the first half has been stellar from StellO. And for Soar, it's been a bit more of the latter than the former, unfortunately, looking a little bit leggy and lethargic. We've seen at times some of the plays that they're capable of, but haven't just seen that on a consistent enough basis.
It is difficult to remain optimistic in these weather conditions, but the StellO sideline proving that it can be done, jumping around, cheering and clapping, and even singing for their teammates.
The Soar sideline was doing the same during the halftime break as well. But I thought you'd be loving this weather. Aren't you an Irish champion, Rachel?
Yes, I am. A beach champion.
Oh, the best division. Who wouldn't want to play on an Irish? Actually, I have no idea what the beaches in Ireland are like. Are they nice?
They are quite nice if you get the weather right once in a while. In any case, we will have the safe hands and the awesome handling of Boulanger.
Yeah.
Start us off in the second half.
It does hurt for Soar that StellO are now trying to do the 2 for none because they held cleanly on offense going into halftime, and they're receiving on offense coming out to begin the second half so they can get 2 possessions and put them in without the defense ever getting a chance.
In fairness, the defensive line for Soar have been able to consistently generate turnovers. Unfortunately, no breaks so far.
Yeah, they've only actually come out, 3 times in that first half, StellO, and they had 2 clean holds and one that was a bit uglier with 3 turnovers aside.
Dunbar now swings it wide to Young, who goes back to Dunbar and down the field to Boulanger. Good gainer by Zhao. She's been huge downfielder for StellO offense. Of course, I'm only gonna repeat myself when I say that these women have over 30 kids among themselves on the team, out of which about more than 10 are here with them in Limerick.
I thought you were going to say each for a second, and I've no idea why, because obviously that would be unfeasible.
Well,
but my brain is kind of ran away with me a little bit here.
There is one person, unfortunately I've forgotten who it is, who has 3 children, and one of them is, I believe, quite young. Here's Polowick on the sideline, and we see Texas transition.
Yeah, the one thing that zone does is it allows you those swings laterally, and you can actually just slowly and surely piecemeal your way down the field, gaining a small measure of position each way. As the shot down the sideline goes to turf.
Uncharacteristic error by Boulanger. And a chance for a break for the Americans, but it seems like an injury will be called. Polowick will walk off to the sideline and will be replaced by Dunbar.
Yeah, Polowick was the intended receiver on that catch, and maybe she just hit the turf a little bit hard. So take the opportunity to take a substitution. In Ultimate, when a player calls an injury, unless it's caused with contact with an opponent, you have to leave the field, or your team has to take a timeout. And in order so that you don't gain an advantage by doing that, the opposition gets to make a substitution of their own as well.
Wendy Hogg able to get out of that coffin corner, and Soar making a little bit of progress all the way down to this near sideline, where their efforts were ended by a high throw, and Vachon and another player, that was Carrie Hartley, coming down with the disc, but also a collision.
I could hear some spectators behind me with some of Ireland's finest beverages who were not enthused about that call. Not that what they think will determine the outcome in the field in any way, shape or form.
Aren't they the smartest? We've had some mansplaining earlier in the week in the comment section, so now we're just going to get it from the sideline, and it's going to include the Ireland's favorite beverage.
Just to clarify, I think if it's Ruben who's clarifying it, I don't know if that counts as mansplaining, given that he literally wrote the book on it.
I was going to say that it is so hard for men now to actually express an opinion on anything.
No, it's not, and here's why you're wrong.
So Hartley will give the disc back to Soar. Metzler, it seems like, will keep the disc, which can only mean one thing, a contested foul call. Boulanger explaining that everyone needs to go back to where the disc was when Metzler still had it in her hands.
Yeah, the last point where possession was not in doubt.
So this would be a great break opportunity for Soar. Nice grab, last minute snag. Hogg now finding a continuation to Eccles. Eccles to Wooldridge, and Wooldridge puts up a huge flick. She's done it before. Oh my God, and Metzler misreads it, and defense who comes down with it.
Yeah, we've seen in the first half what an arm Wooldridge can have. That time looking for Metzler deep, usually throws, but she can go deep herself as well. And just got suckered too far underneath the disc, maybe overestimated her ability slightly, or underestimated the hang time on that one. And StellO get it back.
Boulanger tries to go a bit more conservative, not opting for the deep shot, instead going sideways to Young. Young now down the sideline for Zhao, but that was a nice put, but just a little too custard on it. Second chance, here's Wooldridge. Wooldridge, despite the pressure, gets the disc to Hogg.
What a bid from Dunbar.
Hogg to Metzler. Metzler back to Hogg.
Travel called.
Good defensive pressure from Soar, getting the disc off the StellO offense for the second time. This break could be what could get them back into the game.
If you're a neutral and you're rooting for a close semi-final, then I think you know which way you want this to go.
Wooldridge. Another huge forehand into the end zone. She'll be hoping her receiver reads it better. And she does! An incredible grab, incredible positioning by Cherwang, and it will be called a score.
Yeah, it seemed like the players on the field were looking at the disc maybe a little bit there, seeing if, is there going to be a call actually underneath that from Sparks, but
it did not actually affect the players who were involved in that play, and Cherwang did a great job positioning her body. We'll see that on the replay one more time. Wooldridge.
There's the bid from Dunbar that came flying through, but didn't quite get there. And again, it's just from that standing base, Wooldridge lashes it to the back of the end zone, and there's a little bit of contact underneath it, but maybe just deciding that Cherwink had the better position anyway, boxed the opposition out, and it's a break on to start the second half from Soar. Their first break of the game, and again, maybe what we needed to bring this semi-final a little bit closer.
Like we said, Sparks was there, but Cherwing was there better. It is her second goal of this women's semi-final. We're getting some love for her in the chat as well, saying she's a great auntie too. And she wants to give a shout out to Mike and Izzy for putting up with all her crazy sport activities for many years. And also please tell her friends from Tulsa, Ultimate community that she loves them, and she wouldn't be playing so much Frisbee if it weren't for their wild souls.
Of course, you know, I guess when you play in Oklahoma, you get used to playing in kind of awkward conditions where the winds come sweeping down the plain.
Oh, that's what OK stands for. Thanks,
yeah.
Benji.
Also, any excuse to get a cheeky musical theatre reference in.
So, second chance for the StellO O-line. Boulanger puts one deep. Zhao is underneath. Good effort, but it will be a turnover.
She read that well, could see that it was blading out of the hand early, but it's one thing to read it and another thing to reel it in.
Hill doesn't have too many options. Lots of pressure underneath, but that's McClure. Now they go sideways to Brewer. Brewer puts up a big backhand, goes around two of the players. Broom now just shy of the end zone. Still a few yards to go. She puts up a hammer to no one, unfortunately. That was a cheeky option. I like the risky throws when you are so far behind. You want to be really aggressive.
The problem is there was no one there to reel it in, and maybe if you put a bit of air under it, you can do it, but she lost this through the back of the end zone.
It is a slippery disc to play with. So, second chance, Boulanger goes to the break side with her signature drop to the ground squat, and here is a foul on the mark.
It sounded quite slappy, but whether that was hand on hand or hand on disc when it was in hand or hand on disc when it was not in hand.
I do have a little challenge for everyone in the chat or watching the stream later on. Can you count how many squats will Boulanger do in this game for the inside break? Here she is on the sideline. Nice save on the upline cut. She continues to Dunbar. Oh, that's not Dunbar.
Here's Vachon, I think.
Yep. They keep moving it. Boulanger with a big forehand into the end zone. Sparks slides underneath it and gets another score. But it seems like there will be a little discussion on whether the disc was up. Players, of course, with a chance to have a look at one of the replays, but we have so difficult to say that would need to be slowed down a bit more, I believe.
My initial instinct is up, but obviously that's I'm nowhere near enough confident enough to like intervene, which I wouldn't do anyway. Obviously, much better that the players look at it themselves and ask. I think her hand's underneath it, and they're calling it good on the field as well. There was a Soar player looking at it just in front of our replay monitor as well, who signalled the same, and the goal stands. Brilliant reception, sliding to that far sideline from Kaylee Sparks for the score.
StellO go up 9-4 over Soar, who seemed to be applying a little bit more pressure, getting their first break in the second half, as in the entire game, actually. We see some happy viewers on the sideline, wrapped up in their rain gear. That is, after all, the other set of clothes I've been told that Irish people own. There's normal clothes and then there's rain gear.
I thought rain gear was their normal clothes.
No, but every time I ask my Irish boyfriend if he would like this nice winter coat, he says, "What do you mean winter coat? It's just a coat." So no seasonal clothing for the Irish.
I mean, you wouldn't wear a coat in the summer, would you?
Well, you might if you're Irish and you're in Limerick in the at the end of June.
I don't know what you mean. It's firstly sunny, sunny Limerick. Secondly, it's July. Get with the times, Rachel.
Green, sporting her green cleats, making it so easy for the commentator to spot her on the field and remember her name.
Nice bit of synergy, that.
Love that. From Green, other players should really take it as an example. Here's Metzler, taking the deep shot. She goes to Wooldridge. Wooldridge will think about the deep shot and take it as well. Curves around, but this time Ing is underneath for the defense. She's had 2 blocks in this game already, and she adds another one to the record.
I was willing that throw to go because I saw the steps, and more than anything, I just really enjoy it.
Green responds with a shot of her own, ooh, just out of reach of Marie-Christine Jacques, who's been huge in this game for StellO. 2 goals already, 1 assist. A travel called on Wooldridge. And I would love to see the Soar offense set up a little closer so that they can actually get off those deep shots. And Wooldridge really using all of her power.
Yeah, it feels like that is the offense at the moment. Find a way to get it to Wooldridge in a little bit of space and have her ping it as far as she can.
And that's a turnover on the throw from Cherwang. Komenda picks up again, dries off the disc, and gets her left hand ready.
Always better, I think, to take a second just to try and get any extra wetness out of there rather than having it slip out of your hand. And take
Green
the turn.
goes to Dunbar. Lots of pressure from Metzler underneath. A slightly curvy throw. Ing now. Just in front of the end zone. Will go around to Green. Green thinks about the break side continuation. Nothing there. Goes to Comenda. Swing to Dunbar. Dunbar with the around throw for the score. And that is Jacques adding another one on the scoreboard. 3 goals for her, 10 goals for StellO.
Even though Jacques couldn't reel in the first deep put, that time on the around break, it just, the dump and swing offense from StellO, it is, I don't want to say boring, because that's unfair. It's textbook, it's precise, it's metronomic. You know, you could set your watch to it. You know exactly what's going to happen. It's good old-fashioned fundamental ultimate, and it works like an absolute dream. What a way as well to answer the fact you get broken on the first point of this half, and then we'll go down there, score it on O, generate a couple of turns, and put it in on D, and retake that break back.
I could almost sense the impatience of the StellO D-line to get out there one more time, because they have been huge for their team. They somehow find their way through the break side time and time again. Despite whatever the mark is, they just seem to be able to break through them, be it with an inside, be it with an around, be it with a high release or a lefty throw. And it's been getting them the breaks all tournament long. They go up 10-4 in this women's semis, marching their way to the Women's Masters final. They mean business. Broom picks up for Soar. Big B now. Sideways to Brewer. Brewer has an upline cut. Green will try to put pressure on it, but it's Broom who comes down it. And there is the throw into the end zone. Great sliding grab. That was Big B with the score from Broom. Good, steady offense from Soar, going up to 5.
I think that's comfortably the best that their offense has looked all game, just in flow, in rhythm, all the way to the end zone. Maybe the only slight bit of spice there is this upline throw that hangs a little bit here, but it's not a problem because it goes out early enough that the receiver there always has position. Not a problem for Broom to bring that down, and then continues to Big B in the end zone for the goal. That's a real confidence booster, I think, for the Americans.
I think from StellO, the defender on Big B expected that previous throw to be defended by Green, and that's maybe why they have sort of missed the upline cut. But regardless, great awareness from Soar.
Yeah.
Good read on that disc.
Yeah, in which case you've got to credit Big B for realizing that, hang on, maybe they've just switched off for a second and taken that advantage to exploit that space down the line for the goal.
Thank you again for tuning in at the WFDF YouTube channel. We will be bringing you more action today with some semifinals and finals coming your way later on in this afternoon. And of course, we have the 3, so to speak, main finals coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, so at the moment on our other streaming field is the Grandmasters mixed final. We've got the two Open Master semi-finals coming next on this pitch, which is Voltron versus Is No Good and Boneyard versus Johnny Encore, while on the other pitch we'll have the Great Grandmasters and Grandmasters Open finals.
Is No Good, of course, being one of the only few European teams that have made it this far in the competition.
Yeah, had an absolute shellacking of Royal Stag in their quarter-final.
And here is a quick movement down the pitch from StellO.
A reminder that all those games are free to watch here on the World Flying Disc Federation YouTube channel.
That was Zhao with an overthrow to Boulanger, who lays out, gets her body on the ground in the end zone. But it is usually the other way around that these women work. And Soar respond with a deep put that will be defended by Zhao, rectifying her earlier errant throw.
Yeah, I don't know if Zhao got a hand on it, but by going up early, creating that threat in the receiver's mind, did enough to make sure that the offense couldn't bring it in.
Boulanger with a low throw to Sparks.
Sparks more than happy to make those sliding catches.
The field really sort of baiting those slidey catches. And now I think Sparks is saying that the disc got smashed out of her hand. Uncontested foul. Stall count will be reset. Oh, and a snatch out of the hands of Vachon.
Lightning quick hands there from Tormi.
And here's Metzler with a big forehand into the end zone. And another break for Soar. They stay in this game, adding another one to their scoreboard. 6-10.
Game back on again? Question mark? Who knows? Credit Tormi here for being alert to the restart of play. Really gobbled that disc in and then flowed nicely downfield. That time we've seen these bladey throws from Metzler kind of have a bit of a struggle to meet their target on previous points. But this time put it exactly where it needed to be. Tormi here to Metzler, looks downfield and just floats that one to the back cone where Big B makes another catch for the goal.
And the fans in the YouTube chat calling for a break train. Well, we would surely like to see a tight semi-final for a change.
Yeah, haven't really had those on this pitch so far today. 15-3 was the mixed semi-final we had earlier. I won't tell you who won in case you were trying to save that. And the other women's semi-final was not particularly close either between Reboot Squad and Lowercase. Of course, the winner of that game facing the winner of this game. And again, I'll keep it a secret in case you're trying to avoid spoilers.
Wooldridge with a big pull to StellO. Comenda now transitioning to the O-line. Lending her steady hands. Here's Green as well. So it seems like some of the players have transitioned to provide a bit more stability or just a change up to the Canadian O-line.
Wooldridge on the back of Ing there, not contesting the foul call.
Ing fakes big, goes to Dejanay. Dejanay, great snag from Brown.
Don't know how she plucked that one out.
Brown steps around, just about gets it off to Comenda, who continues to Ing. Ing with another break side throw. That one hangs. Dunbar gets a hand on it, but it wobbles out. Metzler smacks it to the ground.
Yeah, Ing looked like she rushed that throw a little bit. Didn't quite have her body rate set in the right position.
Navarro on the near sideline. Goes to Cherwing. Oh, and that's a slight overthrow for Wooldridge, who surely would have gone for another deep shot had she caught that. The field getting slidey. Comenda dries it off.
Yeah, the temperature's picked up a little bit, but so has the rain.
Brown takes it over to Jacques.
Rain's really picked up.
Jacques finds Brown. And another denied end zone pass by Metzler. Good awareness. And here's a big put. Dunbar is underneath. She usually gets there first. She will put her body on the line. Cherwing was streaking deep immediately, hoping for the quick response.
I love the awareness on that sudden change defense, because it's so easy after the turnover happens, just be looking around, working out what's going on, what's happening, who's where. But Dunbar was right on it and needed to be with a sick layout at that far side to get the disc back for StellO. Oh, it is hammering down now.
It is absolutely incomprehensible to me that Dunbar is able to lay out so many times. Such big layouts from her all tournament long, and yet she's still out there every second point, making huge cuts. And here's another one from her for the up line.
It's fine though, because the soft, lush grass here in Limerick gives you a nice slippy landing.
Well, nothing is soft enough for me to lay out. Here's Green with a break side throw to Brown. Dunbar on the other side. Comenda, inside break. She was almost switching to that offhand right hand, but here is the put to green. That's an offensive hold for StellO. They struggled a little bit, but they did reel it in, and they are well into the double digits now.
It looks like a really tricky inside throw, trying to get the inside out on that shorter pass. But actually what you're seeing here is because they use that recycling to move the disc slightly to the break side, the stack is set a little bit in the open side. So that little cut kind of slashing towards the break side from the front of the stack, they're coming to the break side, and actually, rather than getting a really tricky inside out that you really have to reach around the mark for, or pivoting backwards for a really raking around break, actually, rather than those, because the stack's set over to where the thrower is, it's just a little pop straight forward in that break side channel, and that's so hard to defend if you are that front of stack defender.
Nothing like an easy high release lefty pops into the end zone. But I believe that if you took that away from Komenda, she would quickly respond with a low release inside break. So
every good lefty thrower has that inside backhand, and I have no idea how to stop it. It infuriates me.
You see the determination in the eyes of Komenda, putting up another pull for StellO. Coombs in the middle for Soar, goes to Morris. Broom now has it, fakes the deep shot, goes for the inside, lots of traffic. Obi really tries to get a second chance on that, but defenders really smacking their hands all over the place, and I think Obi will call a foul.
Bit of a cluster something, I won't finish that thought, underneath that disc. Players going in all sorts of directions and all over the place. Was nearly caught on the tip.
I feel like there was a potential for Obi to go for maybe a third or even a fourth chance, but due to the defenders kind of falling all over her. Let's see that again.
Yeah, that might be the discussion. I've just noticed we've got a kind of a decent wing of spectators over to our left-hand side as well. Here you can see there is definitely contact there. I don't think that's in doubt.
I think this is one of the situations where it would be so hard to resolve that it's just easier to just keep playing and send the disc back. In any case, what I wanted to mention earlier was that Morris has been doing a lot of downfield cutting in the other games for Soar, and she's been so helpful in the other games. So maybe that's why we also see Komenda, one of the best defenders on the pitch, defending her, and they've been doing a really good job neutralizing her. I haven't seen much of her in this game yet.
No, I feel like, yeah, we've hardly called Morris's name at all, and whether that's because she's been handled really well defensively, or whether she's maybe just not played that many points this game.
Or her glasses are wet and she can't see anything, which wouldn't surprise me either. Here's Obi now with a catch under pressure. She'll go back to, oh. Here's Morris right outside of the end zone, Obi.
Strong hands from Morris, past the bidding defender of Komenda.
Brewer now, back to Morris.
That run quite nicely.
Broom, wide swing. And that will not be Big B who will jump the disc in. She's got Obi. And Obi again in the right spot. She's been big, having many discs in that last point. Great offensive hold. Soar staying in the game, and the fans on the sideline getting pretty excited.
That goal from Chinwe Obi makes her the tournament's leading goal scorer in the Women's Masters division as of right now. We talked about kind of some of the off-field roles earlier. We're going to see this again. That break around. Bigby tries to milk it into the end zone. Doesn't quite get it there. And then the quick dish off maybe into the centre. No. But the defender Ings calling on her heels a little bit, so she overcommits to stop that first look, and it creates that inside channel through. Obi is also the president of the Dallas Ultimate Association and is part of the Women and Non-Binary Committee.
She is getting better year after year despite getting older, which is what she says is the highlight of her career. Well, I am glad she will have plenty of highlights to watch from this game and the other games that we have streamed with Soar in them from this WMUCC coverage. Here is Woldridge with a pull for Soar. We see the, so to speak, classical O-line for StellO with Boulanger picking up the disc.
Yeah, often after that first break, teams like to cross a few players over, put on kind of a hybrid line just to give some players a rest. Maybe pull some of your power players over from defense, and then once you've settled the ship, next low point, send your normal 7 or so out there. Obviously, it's always 7, but I mean, it's not necessarily the same 7. You've got usually a pool of 8, 9, maybe 10 players.
So Boulanger, Sparks, and Hartley will be working in the handling space. Maybe throwing Vachon in the mix once in a while. Vachon, sorry.
Yeah, there are times when StellO's looked so comfortable with this zone, and there are other times when it feels like they've no idea how to solve it. It's very strange.
Good white swing to Sparks. They keep going sideways. Really no open players behind the first cup. I think Boulanger would be much more comfortable with actually just getting a nice gainer over the first cup. Now they go through to Zhao.
Yeah, the swing back and forth there. While the cup's trying to move downfield, those gaps appear, and that creates the opportunity to thread it through.
And here's the big gainer to Polowek, which will force Texas to switch to match D.
Yeah, one of the things that zone offenses try and do is, because defensively you tend to commit a lot of players closer to the disc, you take advantage of the numerical mismatch downfield.
And Boulanger to Sparks for the score. StellO go up 12-7.
See, this is what I'm talking about. That point, you know, it was a bit slow and methodical at the start, but once they got past that front line and they stayed patient with it, which they were right to do, because they opened up the space for themselves. And again, coming off that transition, just finding a player who's kind of a little bit lost, maybe not sure who they're supposed to be marking, that frees Sparks up in the end zone, the shot goes and it's on target, and StellO kind of solved the puzzle of that zone defense, not rapidly, but methodically, and it worked to perfection.
Again, we're talking about StellO time and time again, going through the break side. I do feel like Soar could really try to hold that zone a little bit longer. Don't worry about the breakthrough that much, because I feel like the transition hasn't borne its fruits.
Yeah, with a zone like that, one of the problems are when you get past that first line, there's a lot of space downfield to exploit. Obviously, when you get close to the end zone, that downfield space isn't there anymore because you've got the back of the end zone and everything becomes a bit more congested. So maybe you could stay with that all the way through.
Comenda with another pull. Soar don't dare to catch it and rather let it fall into the ground. And here's the defensive line of StellO with a zone of their own. Morris goes to the middle. Coombs. Oh, and a wobble on the disc. Lee unable to hold on to that. Comenda.
It might not have been perfectly thrown, but I'm sure that Lee would have backed herself to make that catch.
McClure back to Comenda. They keep working together. High release to Dunbar. And a great pop just in front of the end zone. And a low grab for another break for StellO. And we can see them going nuts. They know they're nearing the final again and again. And I just want to use this pun from the chat. Dunbar spends more time in the air than Tom Cruise did in Maverick.
Nice. I think you might have to pay YouTube chat royalties now. But obviously they are, yeah, smart folks watching live on the World Flying Disc Federation YouTube channel. And they're seeing StellO here, 2 points away from victory and a place in tomorrow's final. In just outside the end zone, sees the space, and then takes the risk to try and get low to the ground, sneak that underneath the hand of the mark. And although it's close to the ground, Akhtal makes the catch, and 2 points away from victory now, the Canadians.
I can tell that StellO smells the blood. They are so ready for this final.
I mean, that's a bit much.
Oh, is it? Excuse me.
I'm joking, I'm joking.
Well, sometimes I just use expressions that I've randomly heard, but being a non-native speaker, it is really hard for me to assess what I'm actually saying.
Like, I mean, to be fair, it's tough in English, so can't imagine what it's like doing it in your second language. But it is almost predatory from StellO in the sense that they're seeing these opportunities, and you're right, like the sharks sensing blood in the water.
I mean,
ready
look
to
at their
pounce.
faces. Look at Commenda. She's ready.
That's intensity on her expression right there. Hello, a little bit of a different look for StellO here. Going with the zone and a lovely over the top to start the possession.
Broom to Metzler. Metzler activating Broom, but Broom covered tightly.
And
Big B on the sideline.
That zone lasted all of one throw maybe before they've got into match.
Navarro. For the upline to Metzler. Metzler sees her teammates on the break side, but goes open side instead. Yep, that was Hog on the score. And a loud cheer from Soar.
We've seen a lot of these throws, the flick hucks from both sides. Blade early on, Metzler's been guilty of that earlier, but this one just gets a little bit of that inside out shape on it, kind of rocking back to release that. And because she does, that means that it takes it back into the receiver's path, just sits it over the defender's head, and she reads it well at the back of the end zone for Soar. Soar. Still a tough task facing them, but you can't get a break train rolling unless you leave that offensive station.
That's right. So if in case you weren't following the other games, the winner of this semifinal will face off Reboot Squad, the sort of more mature version of Brute Squad out of Boston, US. They have taken their semifinal 15-7 over lowercase from Canada.
So as things stand, if StellO can hold out here, we'll get a USA-Canada final tomorrow afternoon.
And it will be commentated, I believe, by myself and the lovely Troy Weston out of Canada herself. We have started you off with the opening game and might finish you off with a nice Women's Masters final.
I think that sounds about right.
Back to the action on the field. Here is Zhao. Moving the disc to Young. Young looking for the reset, goes break side instead. To Hogel. Hogel to Boulanger. Here is a huge break for Young.
Delicious inside backhand, that.
She's going to try that again. Doesn't get it off this time. We'll look for her favorite target, Zhao. So much pressure on that upline cut. And here is Boulanger, who found Zhao again. And I'm just going to call StellO the finalists now.
If they have any nerves about sealing this game for a place in the final tomorrow, they did not show it one iota. Cool, calm, nerveless. That was the throw that really opened up this possession. That slippery inside backhand through the defense gives them a bit more space to flow back towards the open side, and then Boulanger gets the disc and the throw and go up the line. Often, the most dangerous player on the field as a receiver is the person who's got the disc in their hands, because if you can get it out there quickly, take advantage perhaps of the force being on the heels rather than on the balls of their feet and ready to go, you can create that quick separation. And especially in short areas like on the sidelines or in the red zone when space is at a premium, those couple of steps are sometimes all you need.
So very difficult to say what the mood currently is on the Soar US team. Will they still try to give it their all and make us ready for the big comeback, or will they try to conserve energy and maybe focus more on the bronze medal game?
Chat's got into the pineapple on pizza debate. By the way, you are all wrong. well, I actually don't know. Some of you are wrong, obviously. Pineapple does not belong on pizza or anywhere else. I have a 3-point ties on this.
A high release to Metzler for what could be one of the last offensive points for Soar. Morris goes to Lee.
Well, they will never receive again in this game.
And Lee puts up a big hook, and who else to collect it in the end zone? That Obi, incredible awareness. Another one for the scoreboard to Soar, and I'm sure they will love this offensive hold.
That wasn't open. That throw was not, I know you might think it's open, but I don't think I've ever seen you turn down a deep look.
You see Obi in the end zone, you go for it, girl.
Well, this is the thing. It's having that connection, getting those synapses firing at the same time. Because Lee puts this up, maybe the stall count's rising and she feels like she has to get this off. Or maybe she just sees the defender looking away from Obi for a split second, but as soon as it goes up, Obi gets the read on it so early, and she's just unstoppable in the end zone. And Soar will now need to score 6 breaks on the spin to make the comeback. And in order to help them do that, they've taken the timeout.
Well, if they can confuse Desjardins like they did in the last point completely, that poor girl expected nothing to come her way. They might just be able, you know. In any case, we do only have about less than 6 minutes left of game time, the time cap being at 100 here in Limerick.
Yeah, regardless of what happens at this point, because we would just add 1 to the highest score, it's game to 15. So someone's going to score 15 in this game. The odds-on favourite at this point is StellO, but the longer it takes, maybe the more nervy they become.
We are indeed making the fans on the sideline happy. They are behind a fence to preserve the fields as much as possible.
It also helps that the rain has stopped and the sun has come out, sort of. I think it's behind some clouds, but it's definitely there. I might even take the gilet off. I'm aware.
Don't do it. Don't
I'm
do
aware
it.
how posh that makes me sound, by the way. YouTube chat, you don't need to remind me.
In any case, we have the first game point on our hands. The best players out there, surely, for both sides. Or else just whoever wants to get some more playing time in this Women's Masters semis. But it seems like we will have Brewer on the pole. Checking with her teammates. Just before she does so, she raises her hand and goes for the backhand. Perfect ultimate conditions. Here is Boulanger. Ryu. Back to Boulanger. Boulanger has a player wide open in the break side, but they do attack the upline aggressively. Vachon.
They've attacked the upline space aggressively all game.
Here is the big backhand. It could be the end of the game, but there is a pick call, potentially on Sparks.
Yeah, the call came quite early, but Sparks does the right thing there by making sure she makes the catch anyway, so there's no possible chance of the turnover.
Like we said, it is the perfect ultimate conditions at this stage. Very little wind. The rain has stopped. The field is nice and soggy, and the players have no obstacles to their game. So again, a little discussion on how much the players were affected by that call, but in any case, it was pretty clear from the start that the disc will go back to Boulanger. And it is a nice matchup with Wooldridge, who's been trying her luck on Boulanger all game long, and even preventing some of her most dangerous passes. Vachon with a break side throw, bounces off the chest of Ryu. Vachon again striking for that up line.
The pinpoint accuracy of some of these throws, even this late in the game, still so admirable.
Boulanger finds Young. Young on the sideline with another upline cut to Boulanger, but that's out of reach. They were getting dangerously close. And Metzler now centers It's Broom who has it on the other sideline. Big chance for a break. The fans want it. Can they do it?
Metzler's gone deep, but wasn't looked at, and now plants to come under.
Gainer for Metzler. Metzler thinks about the deep shot, but her receiver doesn't look like they expected. Wooldridge, she could put it. No, she doesn't. Broom goes to ground, keeps possession.
I think I know what you want them to do, Rachel.
Shot, get. Now, Metzler has it. Passes it to Broom. They can go to the break side, but no continuation there. Soar defensive line working really hard. Nice give and go. Again, no continuation.
Sits down Sparks on the mark.
Broom. Will she put an end to this? No, it's Metzler. Metzler with a breakthrough for the score! That's a break for Soar. Marie-Christine Jacques with a 4th goal of her game. StellO making it happen for the fans at home and for the fans on the sideline, going up 10 to StellO's 14.
Yeah, that point from Soar, the way they scored, actually looked a bit like what we've seen from StellO, which is get very disciplined in the red zone, uncorked it with a brilliant inside flick. And I love there is the way that Broom, rather than kind of focusing down the sideline where half of your field of vision's off the pitch, and that information's useless because you can't throw it to someone there, really squares up the hips, gets that inward pivot, turns to really attack the mark in field where she finds Metzler, and then Metzler with that break side continuation again. Good timing on the cut there from Bigby. It goes late enough that she can catch that around backhand for the goal, and that's her 3rd goal of the game, along with an assist and a block. Been one of the key performers for this Soar side.
About 10 seconds left of game time. It's still a game to 15, surprise, surprise. Good pressure in this last part of the game from Soar. I would have loved to see a little more of that in the earlier parts of the game.
Yeah, they were 8-3 down at half-time. They're actually 7-6 up in this second half. The problem is they just gave themselves a massive deficit to try and overcome.
That is correct, and despite the StellO offense getting a little bit shaky, I am afraid that some of these players that are now crossing over from the defensive line will have absolutely no fear and no hesitation to use this game point to take their team to the finals. We see the steady lefty handler Comenda. We see Green. We see Boulanger, Sparks, Dunbar.
Yeah, if you're StellO, I don't think you want to let this get any closer than it is already. You want to finish this now, as this spin pull from Tormey works its way deep. A good put as well that pins them in the end zone.
Green centers to Boulanger, who goes sideways immediately to Sparks. Dunbar has a follow-up from Zhao. Zhao reads it despite the defensive pressure.
Yes, sailed a little bit, allowed the defender to close, but she did enough to keep her on the back shoulder.
Transition from Soar, centering to Comenda. Working with Dunbar. Dunbar sideways, quick disc movement. Green has it. No up line. Boulanger's free in the middle. She's gonna squat for the inside. Oh, and a wobble on the disc. That's a turn from StellO. And a big chance for a break from Soar.
Wow. Polowick just, I don't know, maybe looking at the scoring pass.
Wooldridge rips it for Cherwing. But that one was, again, a little too far. She's got so much power in that forehand.
It's normally you want those throws to go up nice and early and give receivers a chance to run onto them, but they're thrown with so much zip and so much power, you almost want to throw it a bit later and just try and spear it in at the deep shot.
Wooldridge is a fast receiver, but she is pretty short. You gotta get them legs a bit of time to get there. Here's Boulanger with a huge break throw and a foul on the cut. Comenda will call it, and Cherwing will not contest it.
Yeah, I mean, in that scenario, I'm not entirely sure how you could. I'm not, obviously didn't mean to trip up her opponent, but sometimes it just happens. You get those legs tangled.
Komenda with possession. See a bit of switch on the mark. She puts up a high one. Green comes down with it. Is there a continuation? She winds up. Nothing there. She's going to take it conservatively.
I saw sparks as the deep shot, but maybe, you know, with this being the last point, you want to keep it as cool and calm as you can.
Dunbar will look for the aggressive upline cut. She gets it from Boulanger. Boulanger goes break side again from Dunbar. Dunbar with a wide spread to Komenda. Komenda has an open receiver, doesn't take it, instead goes for the high
Oh
release.
My word.
Backhand, incredible defensive effort by Soar. And I think Zhao will say that she has stopped the rotation of the disc as she caught it.
That's a heavy, heavy collision. Again, it's that cut coming from far on the open side, creating that channel for Komenda to pop it in.
Well, I am just happy that the players seem to be not too shaken
Yeah,
about that amount of contact.
That's always the first priority, is making sure that everybody's okay.
And given that this could be a game point and the final point of this game, I would be very surprised if the disc didn't go back.
Well, in terms of what precisely happened, I would have to look at it again.
I did, and it didn't help. I'm sure there'll be lots of opinions about this in the chat.
Oh, I think she has that and is stripped. I also understand Obi trying to get there from the back, but causes a big collision there. They're going to call it an uncontested strip, and the goal!
And I almost have tears in my eyes as I see the StellO sideline huddle up together with their kids. They are incredibly happy. They knew they were coming into this game as favorites, but they held their ground, made it all the way to the final, and now we see them celebrating big time the victory over Soar, who did a great job trying to stay in this game, applied lots of pressure in the second half, trying to keep the game close and displayed incredible spirit towards the end. Now we see some nice elbow bumps from the players.
Yeah, it would have been so easy there, knowing that that point gives them the game, just to contest it. But good to see that actually, you know, taking the breath and thinking, you know what, fair play, you got the disc, you had it, I stripped you, goal stands, and StellO will take their place in tomorrow's final.
Coming up on the stream, we have the Men's Masters semi-final, Voltron 2020 versus Is No Good from France. And on this other stream, we have the final of the Great Grandmasters Open Division, Relics from US take on Surly Great Grandmasters. My name is Rachel Toshnerova, and I was joined by the lovely Benjamin Rees here in the commentary booth. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for engaging. And for now, we are checking out.
Alti.tv